Well, it's official. I no longer own an amp, and I have no plans to buy one anytime soon, or honestly, maybe even ever again. Now, I will readily admit that there is just nothing like a cranked amp or the unbridled joy of just hitting some power chords and then feeling those sound waves just rattle your guts. It really is incredible. But who can do that like ever or regularly? I know I can't. I live in a house with my family, and the only time that I really get to play is at night when everybody's gone to bed. So it's not like I can just go full Spinal Tap at 11 p.m. every night. That's not going to work. So a few months ago, I started looking for amp simulators, which I know, okay, it's not a tube amp, I get it. But I was like, well, maybe this is a decent solution for me. Since I can't really play loud, I'm going to have to find another way to do it. And the best way that I could think of was through my computer. I've owned and used Logic for the last couple of years, and while I really like it as a software, I found the guitar amps on it to be just not very good. They just, like, they sound digital. Like, I hear it and I go like, that's not a real sound. That is a fake sound that a computer is generating, and I didn't like that. And then of course there's all of the, nothing sounds like a tube amp, nothing sounds like a real tube amp kind of fundamentalists that are, in every single guitar forum on the planet. And while that may be true, there are a lot of things that sound better than a tube amp at volume level 1. And there are things like the amp attenuators, like the Auxbox or the Waza, I think it's called the Tube Amp Expander, something like that. And those are great. They let you get the, that cranked sound at bedroom levels. But that doesn't change the fact that I'm listening to things at bedroom levels. Not to mention that they're expensive. It's like $1,300 so you can crank your amp and then make it quiet again. I was like, I don't want it. That doesn't sound like a good idea for me. So I was kind of starting to think that I was just going to have to settle for sound that I didn't really like, or spend way more money than I really wanted to get sound that I didn't really like. And then I found AmpliTube, which, but this is not an ad. Okay, I use it, I own it, I paid for it, I bought it. I just really like it, so I'm making a video about it. But I found AmpliTube and I was really excited right away. And I think I heard somebody talking about it on a YouTube video. Maybe it was a Google search. I don't totally remember. All I know is that I tried it and then immediately bought it because I was really pumped with how it sounded. So the amount of amps and cabinets and pedals and effects and all that stuff that you get within it are really incredible. Like, I'm not a very advanced sound person, like I don't know. I'm kind of an idiot about that kind of stuff. Like, I know that I like fairly basic things. I want a good sounding amp, maybe an overdrive pedal, a couple other things, but it's so easy to experiment within AmpliTube that I found myself doing way more with it than I ever thought that I would, because it's just simple to use, and it is really fun to kind of go down the rabbit hole of all those different tones and effects. And you can get your guitar to sound like all kinds of things, and it's just really fun. And if you start like I did with some of the more basic packages, you don't have access to all of those different amps and pedals. But the cool thing is that AmpliTube has what's called their custom shop, which has every piece of gear that they sell that you can actually try it before you buy it. I think you have like 3 days. It's like a 3-day trial period, something like that, for every single piece of gear, which is awesome because now you can try things without having to buy them first. Which, there's nothing worse than like getting something and then going like, well, this sucks. And of course, if it's a digital product, it's hard to return, all that. So this takes care of that. The only downside is that the custom shop is also one of the most irritating and annoying aspects of AmpliTube. For example, if you decide that you want to try an amp, but you have like AmpliTube and Logic open, but you don't have the custom shop open, you'll just get this loud, crazy hiss like every 10 seconds or something. So if you don't have custom shop window like open and up front on your screen, you're just gonna get this horrible hissing sound all the time while you're trying to play. I really hate that part. And the different amps and cabs, they genuinely sound really, really good. Like, if you want to, I don't think I'm sophisticated enough to do this, but if you're one of those people that really like kind of chases the tone of your guitar heroes, I think you can totally do it inside of AmpliTube, because they have the different collections, like the Jimi Hendrix collection, which I really enjoy. You can sort of dial in those sounds that you know and love. I personally use the Fender Collection. The Jimi Hendrix collection. and the Mesa Boogie dual rectifier setups. And it's cheap. Like it's crazy cheap. I think I spent like 40 or 50 bucks at first to get some things. I think AmpliTube Max is like $300. I don't totally know that off the top of my head, but I know sometimes they have sales, so it's less or whatever. It's around that. But I think for AmpliTube Max, you get like 80 amps or something like that, and 300 pieces all together for 300 bucks. Like you get all of that for less than what you would buy like a cheap amp for, which is kind of amazing. So it's nice. It's for someone like me who doesn't necessarily know like, oh, that amp is good, or oh, I know the sound of that. Like I can just try stuff, and if I don't like it, it doesn't matter because it's just a couple of bucks. And maybe the best part of all is that you can get real loud. Okay, yeah, you have to use headphones, and it's not that, you know, bone rattling wall of awesomeness that you get from a genuine amp experience, but I can still permanently damage my hearing without waking up the baby. So win-win. Is AmpliTube the ultimate solution for everybody? No, of course not. Nothing is. I found it to be almost perfect for me and very enjoyable because it's cheap. I can test stuff. It lets me try things that I never honestly would have even thought of if I didn't see like, oh, I can test this mic, or oh, I can test this effect that I've never heard of. What does that sound like? So it's allowed me to sort of expand just my experience with the guitar, which is super fun. It sounds great. And like I said, it lets me get loud, even if it's only wrapped around my head. I still like that feeling of playing really loud. If you want to check out AmpliTube, there's a link in the description below. I think I'm also going to make a series of videos maybe where I kind of break down sort of how I get my favorite sounds. So it's really fun to be able to like practice a Jimi Hendrix song and you go like, that actually does kind of sound like a Jimi Hendrix rig. It's super fun. So I'll probably do some of that stuff. I hope you guys have an awesome week. Now go play guitar.